Well, I think the Capuchin charism is important in the church today for a couple reasons. One, I think, the Capuchin charism is based on our life as brothers, living together, praying together, ministering together. And our life is called the evangelical brotherhood. And so we're called to give witness to the gospel by living our life together as brothers. And by, as I said, by being men of prayer, living simply in simplicity, life of simplicity, and then ministering together as brothers, and many times ministering to the poor. And it's just by our very presence that the gospel is supposed to be preached. It's kind of like that famous saying that's attributed to St. Francis, although he didn't say it exactly like that. Preach the gospel always, and if necessary, use words. But that's really encaptures really the Capuchin, the Franciscan charism, is to live the gospel as brothers and let our example, preach the gospel for itself. So I think that's very important in any time, but I think especially today that people see the gospel being lived out by members of the church, by religious. The other part of it is too, I think the part of the charism that's important is that the Capuchin Franciscan charism always brings Christ to the people and to the average folks. And I think you look back in St. Francis's day, and the view of Christ was always the glory of Christ was always emphasized. That the transcendence of God, that God is up here. And that kind of even carried over to the hierarchy of the church, the Pope and the bishops and things, kind of almost being out of touch with people. And I think, thank God, Pope Francis has really done a great job of, bridging that gap and making himself feel, close to the people. And people, love Pope Francis. But I think that's still an important part of our charism today, is to let people feel the closeness of Christ, and to emphasize that he walks with us, that the humanity of Christ, and that that he's not just a transcendent God, but he walks with the people. And somehow, some way, our presence, and I think just sometimes just people seeing us in the brown habits, gives them a sense of God, of God's presence, of a familiarity that makes them feel, Christ is near. So I think that's very important for us today in our charism to bring that Christ to the people in that way. I also think for us as friars that it's important that that we give a good example of that you don't have to be a saint to be a Christian, right? That's a work in progress, and I think many times people see us as they can relate to us. We're average people. Sometimes we don't speak so eloquently, or we're not afraid to to give a handshake or embrace somebody with a hug, show hospitality. And I think those kind of things kind of endear us to people and also encourage them in their own faith journey. That sometimes, they may see themselves struggling or not being perfect, or, not feeling so holy or acting that holy like on the outside. And they could get discouraged. But I think sometimes they'll see the friars, and we kind of put a human face on that journey to conversion. That it's a process, and it takes a lifetime. And that no matter where you are in it, it's okay, and that the Lord walks with us, and that I think we find that people find encouragement in our lives. The last thing I'll say too, I think we've heard it said many times. Many of our friars comment that people feel like you guys are different. They say you guys are different for some reason, and I think it goes back to that relatability. It's a similar thing that drew me. One of the things that drew me to the friars when I met them for the first time, that I felt comfortable in their presence. I felt encouraged in their presence. I saw their holiness in the midst of their humanness, and it just kind of inspired me, to say, yeah, I want what they have, and hopefully, if the Capuchin charism is being lived well, other people, in the world today, when they encounter us, will have that same feeling.